Hi guys, my name's Pierce and I am demonstrating a iPad 2 Wi-Fi screen replacement, which is probably not the best camera angle for now. I'm joined by Isaac Blackburn. Say hi.
Hello.
And he's actually recording. He is my bro from UK, from, their fancy land with tea and stuff. And so what I'm doing is I'm having him record because I wanted to make this an official business, and he's recording as I demonstrate how this is done. This is actually my first time doing this, so the progress we have so far is the Digitizer itself has already been halfway removed from the front here. You can see that it's been separated from see if I can get a better camera angle. Separated from the LCD because I can get this piece under here. So it's already been separated. The Digitizer cord was actually forcefully broken. I broke it just to make it a little easier because it is going to be replaced. So let's go ahead and get that back off. And the progress so far is that we are about halfway through. I am just about halfway up the left side of the screen, along with the entire bottom has been removed, and I'm halfway up the left side, which as I'm giving these examples, we will be talking just regular conversation. And I will go over some pretty important parts as we get here. So far, the only important part would be the bottom right side of the home button where the Wi-Fi antenna is located. You would have to keep that up quite a bit. I did have some trouble disconnecting it from the broken glass of screen, because as you can see, the entire edges all the way around the screen itself is actually broken, which makes the job slightly more difficult, but not too much, because it would be easier to get this Digitizer out. I will be covering the important parts, like this is a Wi-Fi iPad 2G, so it does not have the 3G cables, 3G flex cables here. Here where the volume bars are located, there are the vibration and volume is located. There are the flex cables for those, and then the Wi-Fi flex cable, which is here, which I'm pushing on, and the home button, which really isn't that important. You will have to remove that later if your screen replacement does not come with one, which I will not remove it from the plastic right now, which it appears as though it does. I believe, yeah. So that makes it a little more easier. The camera holder, if you do not have one, it may come with it, but you might have to remove it from the old one. And make sure, if you guys ever buy one, make sure you get it one with the pre-installed adhesive, because it is just another 25 to 30 minutes more work if you have to figure it out yourself. So let's get started. Okay, so we're picking back up at part 2. I actually had to cut the video. Where we're at is the LCD, or not the LCD. The LCD is still here, but the it's the iPad 2 Wi-Fi Digitizer and glass replacement. The old glass has already been removed. Here, it was pretty severely broken, as you can see. All the edges completely shattered all the way around. And so the step that we're at now is we've secured all the most of the flex cables, which is the Wi-Fi here, the camera, which I said saved the frame, the camera frame that came off, and the home button if yours does not come new with it. And also I won't be posting a tutorial for the adhesive for how to place that, because I don't know. So let's see if we can get a little better focus here. There you go, that actually looks really good. So as of right now, I'm going to be starting on this side. We're going to be removing what's left of this glass here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reheat it up. I'll probably cut it and mute the audio here, so that way you guys aren't bombarded with this. So just going to heat this up so we can chip out this, because we don't want to start where the volume is, because there are flex cables hidden under here that you do not want to break by any means. I'm pretty sure I have glue stuck to the bottom of this. Let's see. I do. It's nice. There we go. Let's just set those out of the way. Alright, so like I said, there are flex cables. You can see the volume here, which means the flex cables are actually located right here. You don't want to break those because otherwise you lose total volume control, volume and vibration control. The touchscreen will not work as of what I'm doing now because I have cut the digitizer forcefully to just make it easier to remove because you are going to be replacing it. So there's the, it's off camera, but there it is. So let's just heat this up and chip this away. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I can't stress enough that you just need to be very careful not to overheat any component of the iPad or iPod, whatever you're using. The actual iPhones should not be this complicated because I believe they're held together by screws at the bottom, which would make this job just that much easier because it would come out as one piece. But the next video I will be posting will probably be in a week or so, is an iPod Touch 4th Gen Wi-Fi. I believe they only come in Wi-Fi. iPod Touch 4G digitizer and glass replacement, because mine was broken so long ago, and this is actually kind of my initiation. So after I finish with this, I will be ordering my own screen for my personal device. There you go, just kind of get in the edge here, just to kind of crack away at it. But that's really essentially what you want to do, is when you know there is nothing important here. So let's go ahead and get this back. So I'm not too concerned about being too careful with the LCD, because after all it is an LCD, so it's just like any other, essentially it's just like a TV. So if you have, you know, like a LCD flat screen LCD TV, it's really just one of those. So you don't want to hit it too hard that you'll know you'll break it, but you don't have to be too careful because you know it's just not that fragile. So let's just keep chipping away at this. You want to make sure you get the glue off too. So I mean, there is going to be like a black residue or a black adhesive that will remain stuck to probably most parts, that you can just kind of scratch off if needed. You can just use some heat. I got nice glass chipped off there. Clean that up a little bit. I'm actually recording from a desktop computer using the webcam, so this is actually a little more complicated because I don't have a camera. So I mean, this is actually like a stainless steel frame, so you could really just chip and crack at this until you know it's completely loose. So let's heat it up one more time. Bring it back over in the view. So just run a little test here real quick. Oop. Hold on, knock that off there. So run a little test. Flipped on the LCD. Let's see. Get that up and looking. All looks good. This is the heated corner right here. So all looks good. The LCD looks fine. Or yeah, the LCD. Just scratch off the bottom there so that we can. So now before this cools, is the glass will re-adhere if it cools. Just start cracking their away at it. cleaning it off because I do get some stuck to it. So, just gonna approach it from a different angle. Approach from the outside. You probably most likely will end up cracking it more. So I mean, that's really not too much of a concern. So, yeah, like as I'm peeling this, it is starting to crack more and more, which isn't too big of a deal as long as you're not near anything important. So, scratch that off one more time. Get that cleaned off right there. Just trying to make sure I don't get any glass in my hands. So we are getting to a softer part of the iPad here, which is like it's more of a tape, so it's not really exactly like what you have to be concerned about being too fragile. So let's just wipe off the area. I'm sitting on a plastic mat, so I can just vacuum it. The chair itself is resting on a plastic mat. So let's just focus on getting the rest of this out. Cut my finger a little bit there. Vacuum one more time just to clean up all the mess I've made. Okay. Got that cleaned up. So here it is. There's the wireless cable, which does look pretty gross. It's got a lot of glue on it, and for the most part, this edge here is clear, with the exception of some little glass pieces, which you don't have to be careful with. You can just kind of. Actually, I'm not too sure. I don't think that's glass. It's actually glue. Yeah, little glass chunks in it. You can just go ahead and just scrape those right away. Focus on that corner there. Let's see if I can get a little better lighting. There we go. Now, I mean, I did smudge up the screen. You can see it right there. Or I did smudge it up. So I'm just using a green microfiber cloth here. You just go ahead and wipe it off. I mean, as I keep saying, it's just an LCD. I mean, it is just an LCD, so be careful that you don't break it. But it's just an LCD in the essence where just go ahead and wipe it off and get it clean again. And there you go. Like new. If you get any glass in it, you can just wipe it up. Or use the vacuum to clean it, or whatever you're using to pick up your glass. I don't have a big enough surface space, so I do have to vacuum it. So let's move on to this corner here, which is the bottom left corner. Heat this up so that way I can pick this out. So if you're experienced, you most likely won't be watching this video. Whereas if you're not, you'll probably, like stated in the first part, you can probably tell the difference between parts because the quality has changed, and most likely the audio's quality has changed a bit because I did start off with a friend recording from Skype, and now I've switched to just a personal recorder. I'm just using like a movie maker and actually a fairly decent camera. Let's get that out of the way. There you go. So just focus on chipping at these corners. I'd say do what I'm doing and focus on the least important corners, which is this is the bottom left corner, and then the top left corner there. Just focus on those before you go on to the more important parts, which would be this area where the flex cables for the volume is, because I do have quite a lot to do on this side. So let's go ahead and just finish plucking at this here, which is actually this side, oh geez, is coming up fairly easily because I guess I did heat it up enough, and I'm just being very careful because, like I said, this is my first time replacing a iPad screen. I've of course watched tutorials, I've seen it done personally, so I mean I have a fairly decent ass idea of how it's supposed to be done. So that corner is actually clear. So you can probably see it if I lift it up and get it a little closer. Right here, this little, let's see if I can get it with that tool. This little piece is actually the Digitizer, which I cut on purpose because I did know that we are going to be replacing it. So it's not too big of a deal that I cut it. It's really not a big deal at all. Let's see, there's a spudging tool here. Just kind of use this end as a really just rake it away, because the iPad keeps laying on it. I keep setting it on top of glass, like the iPad off. The iPad keeps being set on glass and it's kind of pressing it into the wood, and I don't want that at all. So let's just kind of sweep it up to the back there. Let's go ahead and actually just do this. Take the iPad and shake it. Just turn it upside down. As long as you haven't removed the screws for the screen, which we will do later, because that is mandatory to removing the digitizers. So we're going to heat this up one more time because we're moving on to the next corner, which is the top left corner, which you don't have to be too careful because the camera is in the middle, and really all that's left is chunks away from it. So I mean, we will be getting a little closer right here. So just be slightly careful to make sure that you don't hit anything, because you don't want to break off any components like little electrodes or diodes or whatever they're called. You don't want to break those off. And a suggestion is that when you are, because I'm using a household blow dryer, when you are, just go ahead and point it outwards instead of straight down, because what it'll do is it'll actually force air underneath and you're not going to heat up the LCD. So it'll make your job just a little bit easier. So just go ahead and blow dry. Might get a little wind noise because I'm going to be facing the camera, but I will cut down the audio. Alright, so we seem, I would believe that we got this a little warm. Heated up the smudging tool a little bit there. I'll pull that down in the shirt. So, all that is a little warm. Can't let the glue cool off. Give it another test just to make sure everything's still working a-okay there. And look at that, heated up perfect. It's coming out like a dream. I'll peel the glass off, get it out the way. Just go ahead and keep working this out here. Make sure you, like I showed you, oh, it's off camera, but like I said, make sure you're working from the inside out, like, or from the inside out like this, so that way you don't cut in and you'll end up damaging your LCD, which you don't want, which is much more expensive than what you're actually trying to do. I actually in total spent a very small amount of money on this. Most of it's actually quite cheap. You can pick up essentially any part for an LCD or any part for any device quite cheap. If you don't have a very popular device, it might be just a little more difficult for you. If you were using something like I don't know, like a Huawei or however you were to pronounce that. You know, one of those devices that it's just not really known. It's compatibility for it is hard to find. It's not really a mainstream device. It might cause you some complications. If you were curious, I was just toying with this over here, just making sure it's peeled up from the actual LCD itself, because some of it is laying over it. You do have some glass buildup on the screen. Wipe that away here, shake that out, tip this over. Got some on the table here, get that out the way. So there we go. Get the iPad set back up, and let's continue working across this top edge here to get that done. So while there is nothing that's going to be significantly damaged in this corner, you can pretty much just face it towards, really just the camera, face it towards the camera, and kind of blow hot air towards it. That way you can really take advantage of the heat and still not damage any important components. I did push the little seal out just a little bit there. Right here, just pushed it out just a little bit, which I just pushed back in, easy peasy. It'll fit back in with the LCD. Really your main focus is to get the glue. I mean, while the glass is important, that's also the easy part. You want the glue gone, because the glue is what's going to cause the screen to sit mildly uneven, and it really, just even the littlest tweak can throw off your work. So just get that out of there. The piece left. There we go, got that out of the way. So really this corner is pretty much clean at this point. Push that back in there. So now we're ready to move on to the next corner. Actually, I believe we've got most of it. Let's just maybe a little rundown here. Get the rest of the glue. So let's see if we can. All right. So this is going to need some heat work. Let's adjust that back for you guys so you can see it from back here. I'm going to apply some heat from this edge here where the glass starts to about here, because you can see Oh, went the wrong way. Right there is where the starts, and that's usually most likely the just slightly behind it is where the flex cable will start. So I'll go to from about here down to the very edge of this glass here. Alright, so I'm going to rotate it back my way so we can get a little better angle on this. Did heat up the glass. Just checking the LCD again to make sure everything's running A-okay. Because you can never be too sure. You could actually not do anything wrong at all, and it'll still die out on you. Let's go ahead and see if we can get underneath this. I actually wish I had something a little sharper. We can probably try with this. It's actually plastic though. It might be. Actually, it works a little better, and it's a little safer because it is getting out quite large chunks of glass. Well, also, get a better angle of what I'm doing here. Camera. Much larger chunks of glass all at once. Well, it's almost practically foolproof because you are using plastic. Well, I'm not saying completely underestimate plastic, like it's not going to do any damage if you do something wrong, but it'll pretty much help you. So right there, I seem to be stuck. It doesn't want to get underneath the glass, so leave this here. Don't want to brace that against the LCD. It is sitting against it. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put the air behind it. So that should be enough just to perfect. Just to get us underneath the big chunks of glass here that I am trying to cut through. Let's get that up there, get that out of the way. Alright, so we are, as you can see, I don't know if you really can see that, just right here at the edge, you can see that little round tip just below my fingernail. That is the starting of the actual flex cable component, or the volume control component, so which means our job is actually a little more complicated again, because I did not get any of the work that I did on video of the other flex cables, but this was quite hard work. The Wi-Fi antenna was a tiny bit complicated because it did not want to disconnect. There is some glass which appears to be here, or no, that's just glue. Okay. That's good. So we are going to have to be much more careful that we don't overheat this, because flex cables are essentially just very thin, very thin plastic, almost thinner than paper. We're going to vacuum up one more time. We're going to clean up, and then we're going to get started on possibly the hardest part of the repair.